Welcome to our channel. Today, we will embark on a fascinating journey through the teachings of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Get ready to discover how to build solid character, face challenges with determination, and create a meaningful life. Epictetus, one of the greatest historical thinkers alongside Cicero and Emperor Marcus Aurelius, left us with valuable insights that continue to resonate to this day. Together, we will explore the lessons he hopes about the importance of actions, resilience in the face of adversity, and building something lasting worthy of our potential. Press play and let's be inspired by the principles of Stoicism for a fuller life. And don't be weak. Stay until the end of the video, share it with a friend, and leave your comment below. Let's go. Nicopolis, during his childhood and youth, lived surrounded by violence and depravity, undeniable characteristics of Nero's reign. His master subjected him to torture and cruelty to such an extent that it left him with irreversible consequences, including a limp leg, a burden he would carry throughout his life. Thanks to his stoic attitude, he never considered his disability as an impediment and refused to view his life as a tragedy. People do not have the power to hurt you. Even if someone verbally or physically assaults you, even if you are insulted, you can choose to perceive the situation as an insult or not. If someone irritates you, the only thing capable of causing irritation is your own reaction. So when someone is provoking you, remember that it is only your assessment of the incident that causes that feeling. Do not let your emotions be triggered by mere appearances. Try not to react in the moment. Seek to have a broader perspective, distance yourself from the situation, and compose yourself. Epictetus did not indulge in lamentation or self-condemnation. On the contrary, he acted with discipline and steadfastness, remaining firm in the face of all events and adversities in life. Epictetus demonstrated that freedom comes from the mind and is under our control. In his youth, Epictetus went to Rome and served under Epictetus. Amid the adversity and violence that marked his childhood and youth in Nicopolis, Epictetus emerged as a notable example of resilience and Stoic philosophy. The cruel tortures imposed by his master during Nero's troubled reign left permanent physical scars, such as the lame leg he carried as a mark of his past. However, contrary to expectations, Epictetus turned his experience into a life lesson. Epictetus' Stoic philosophy, evidenced in his approach to facing challenges, highlights the importance of not being shaken by external events. Rather than viewing his disability as an impediment, he adopted a perspective that transcends physical appearance, demonstrating that true freedom resides in the mind. The famous quote about the power people have over us reflects his conviction that we are the guardians of our own reactions. Even in the face of verbal, physical aggression or insults, Epictetus reminds us that the interpretation of these incidents is within our control. His philosophy encourages reflection and the search for a broader vision, moving away from impulsive reactions and allowing a balanced analysis of events. Epictetus, while serving under Epictetus in Rome, established his reputation as a committed scholar and practitioner of Stoicism. His life is a testimony that, despite adverse circumstances, it is possible to maintain dignity, act with discipline, and face challenges with constancy. Epictetus' story continues to inspire generations, offering timeless lessons about the strength of the mind and the importance of how we choose to interpret the experiences that shape our lives. Epictetus, Nero's secretary, recognized Epictetus' potential and guided him to learn from the Stoic master Gaius Musonius Rufus. Thanks to this Stoic education, Epictetus was able to overcome extremely challenging situations and conquer the self-victimization tendencies of his mind. When he finally ceased to be a slave and gained freedom, Epictetus was compelled to leave Rome and go into exile, a fate shared by many philosophers of his time. After this, he established his own school in Nicopolis, where he became an egalitarian teacher. Epictetus believed that the primary goal of Stoic philosophy was to help people positively confront everyday challenges and deal with the inevitable major losses and disappointments of life. Thus, he became a mentor to individuals of all social classes, plebeians, politicians, patricians, and even emperors. Epictetus' teachings inspired Marcus Aurelius. Nero, whose reign spanned from 54 to 68 AD, was the fifth Roman emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. His story is notable for his ascent to the throne at a very young age, at 16, following the death of his stepfather, Emperor Claudius. Nero became known for both his artistic and cultural achievements and his controversial and at times tyrannical governance. Despite his interest in the arts, such as music and poetry, Nero became notorious for his increasingly erratic and extravagant behavior during his reign. He is believed to have orchestrated the deaths of his own mother, Agrippina, and his second wife, Poppaea Sabina, showcasing his cruelty and autocratic inclinations. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD is one of the most well-known events associated with Nero. While it remains unclear whether he actually set the city on fire, Nero faced intense public criticism for supposedly playing his lyre while Rome burned. This image of insensitivity contributed to the construction of his negative historical reputation. Nero's reign culminated in his fall from power, with widespread rebellion and the imminent threat of execution. Faced with this fate, Nero chose to end his own life, bringing an end to his tumultuous rule. His death in 68 AD marked the conclusion of the Julio-Claudian dynasty and was followed by a period of instability known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Nero is often portrayed as a controversial emperor whose reign is marked by extravagance and cruelty, remembered as a symbol of decadence and corruption in the Roman Empire. Historical narratives and sources about Nero vary, but his legacy remains an intriguing and complex chapter in Roman history. The future emperor of Rome, one of Marcus Aurelius's tutors, studied directly with Epictetus and handed over to the emperor the notes he himself took during the lessons. Marcus Aurelius, upon reading these notes, saw in Epictetus a wise man and recognized the moral doctrine of Stoicism as one to be followed. Although Epictetus did not leave written records, his disciple Flavius Arrian rescued and synthesized the most important and necessary things from his words, editing his lessons into the Manual of Epictetus and the diatribes or speeches. The Manual of Epictetus is an ethical and practical guide whose lessons have a single goal: to achieve true happiness, called eudaimonia. This happiness is obtained when we delve into the understanding of nature through the study of its laws, cultivate our reason to know ourselves deeply, and above all, build a solid moral character. We live a life grounded in ethics. To achieve this goal, it is necessary to act virtuously and master our vices and impulses. Now, imagine yourself being part of Epictetus's school, a dedicated student. The first lesson, the central tenet of Stoicism, is the dichotomy of control. Understanding and practicing this clearly is what will guide all your thinking. Some things are under our control, while others are not within our control. Our opinions, preferences, desires, and things that cause us revulsion or displeasure, essentially, everything related to our actions beyond our control, encompass factors such as the type of body we have, whether we are born rich or poor, and how we are perceived by others. In other words, external matters that do not depend on us. Attempting to control or change what we cannot results only in disappointments and frustrations. If you believe you have complete control over things that are naturally beyond your control, or if you try to take on responsibilities of others as if they were your own, your pursuit will be distorted. As a consequence, you will become irritated, lament, and blame God, life, and others. Epictetus emphasizes that this self-authority is challenging to practice. It requires control and self-discipline. First and foremost, we must differentiate between what is within our control and what is beyond. When we take responsibility for what depends on us and accept what is beyond our control without lamenting or victimizing ourselves, we progress morally. However, when we waste our time on criticism or challenging the actions of others, we undermine our energy, resulting only in disappointments and frustrations. Take, for example, a relationship where you expect your spouse to change their rude way of interacting, or Epictetus's teachings on distinguishing between what is within our control and what is beyond it form a foundational principle of Stoicism. This philosophy encourages individuals to focus their energy and efforts on aspects of life that they can influence, while accepting with equanimity those elements outside their control. By doing so, one can cultivate a sense of inner peace and resilience in the face of external uncertainties. The example provided about a relationship underscores the Stoic perspective. Instead of investing energy in attempting to change someone else's behavior, Stoicism suggests directing efforts towards developing one's own responses and attitudes. This shift in focus from external circumstances to internal reactions is seen as a path to personal growth and contentment. Epictetus's emphasis on taking responsibility for what is within our sphere of influence aligns with the Stoic notion that true freedom lies in the ability to control one's own reactions and attitudes. This echoes the broader Stoic goal of achieving eudaimonia, often translated as true happiness or flourishing. According to Stoicism, eudaimonia is not dependent on external circumstances, but rather on the individual's moral character and their ability to live in accordance with reason and virtue. In essence, Epictetus's teachings encourage individuals to navigate life with a sense of agency, understanding that while they may not have control over external events, they have the power to shape their responses and cultivate a resilient and virtuous character. This Stoic perspective has resonated through the ages, offering practical wisdom for individuals seeking a balanced and meaningful life. Take more initiative for financial improvement. Even if you push or request these changes, you do not control another person's actions, even if they are close to you. The same situation applies at work. Imagine that you are the leader of a team, and one of the members is not as committed to the project as others, arriving late to meetings, not respecting deadlines for deliverables, and not presenting plausible opinions. Even though you can guide them, you cannot control their actions or determine their interest in the project. However, in both cases, if you disregard this reality and believe you can control what is beyond your control, it will not bring positive results. Practicing the dichotomy of control means discerning and learning to distinguish what you can or cannot control. It takes discipline to take responsibility for actions within your control and self-control to accept what is beyond your control. The approach of the dichotomy of control is a key component in Stoic philosophies, as emphasized by Epictetus. It is based on the fundamental idea of recognizing and accepting what is under our direct control while understanding that there are external aspects we cannot master. This perspective serves as a valuable guide for navigating various situations in both personal and professional life. In the financial context, taking more initiative not only means pursuing financial gains but also understanding that, despite our ability to influence or request changes, we do not have absolute control over others' actions. This awareness prevents frustration and allows us to focus our efforts on what we can effectively impact. In the workplace, the dichotomy of control becomes apparent when leading a team. Even when providing guidance and clear directions, a leader cannot fully control the individual engagement and dedication of team members. Recognizing and accepting this reality is crucial for maintaining effective leadership, directing efforts to positively influence what is within control. Practicing this dichotomy requires ongoing discernment. In situations where trying to control the uncontrollable may lead to adverse results, having the discipline to focus on what we can manage and accepting with serenity what is beyond our domain is a valuable skill. In summary, the dichotomy of control not only provides a practical perspective for handling challenges but also promotes a mindset of balance, adaptability, and wisdom by acknowledging the limits of what we can influence and what we cannot. That which you do not control is the second lesson. Train your self-control, something that Epictetus taught to all his students. He claimed that allowing frustrations and anxieties to dominate us turns us into prisoners of these disturbing emotions. As a result, our life becomes a path of anguish and suffering. We need to train ourselves to not react impulsively and to maintain our serenity and tranquility in the face of unexpected and unfavorable events. Start with small things. If you spill a bit of oil or someone steals a bit of wine, then you should tell yourself that acting calmly in the face of these everyday situations is the cost to pay for obtaining inner peace. Nothing comes for free in this life. According to Epictetus, there is a space, an interval between a stimulus and a response. The key to a tranquil life is knowing how to use that interval. This is a simple yet powerful idea when practiced daily and progressively, as Epictetus teaches us. For example, imagine you are stuck in traffic, late for an appointment, and the traffic light turns red just when it's your turn to go. The driver behind you fails to brake in time and collides with the rear of your car. As unpleasant as the situation may be, you don't need to react with anger or aggression due to your damaged vehicle and the possibility of missing the appointment. There is a space between the stimulus and the response, which represents your freedom to choose how to react to the situation. Traffic, the traffic light, and the driver who collided with you are external events you cannot control. However, how you respond to this situation is entirely under your control. This also applies to deeper matters, such as the fundamental tendencies of your personality. Our behavior results from conscious decisions, not external conditions. We can align our feelings with our values. We possess the initiative and responsibility necessary to shape our destiny. Think about the word responsibility. It is the ability to choose your response. Highly proactive people embrace responsibility and do not blame circumstances, conditions, or conditioning for their behavior. Your behavior is a product of conscious choices based on values, not conditioning guided by emotions. You have the freedom to choose, regardless of the stimulus. Your response may arise, but you have control over it. What matters is not what happens, but how you react. The third lesson, the next lesson, is about continuous self-assessment. Before undertaking any action, it has to be. Have you ever stopped to think about the freedom we have between a stimulus and the response? Imagine everyday situations like traffic, a closed traffic light, or even an incident with another driver. These external events are beyond our control, aren't they? Now, what if I told you that true freedom lies in how we choose to react to these situations? Consider the fundamental tendencies of your personality. Our behavior is not just an automatic response to external conditions. It is actually a series of conscious decisions based on our deepest values. This means that even in the most challenging circumstances, we have the ability to align our feelings with our values and thus shape our destiny. Think about the word responsibility. It's not just a common word. It represents the incredible ability to choose our response regardless of the circumstances. Highly proactive people understand this and embrace responsibility. They don't blame the world around them for their behaviors. Instead, they recognize that true control lies within them. Have you noticed the freedom of choice we have, even in the face of the most challenging stimuli? The answer may come, but know that you have control over it. What really matters is not what happens, but how you decide to react. Now, how do you feel about the idea of incorporating this continued freedom of choice into your life? How about starting this journey of self-evaluation before each action you take? As rational beings, it is imperative that we look within ourselves and conduct a critical analysis, not with the intention of diminishing or boasting about ourselves, but rather to understand our abilities, resources, and areas of vulnerability. With this understanding, we can make decisions that align with our goals. Imagine that you have decided to participate in the upcoming race in your city, aiming to surpass your own limits in a challenging 30 kilometers event. However, there are only 2 months left until the event, and you have not yet formulated a specific training plan. Additionally, you have never ventured into races of this kind, and, lacking experience, you have not assembled a support team to guide you during the race. Despite your confident and positive attitude, there is a significant probability of giving up before completing the race or even sustaining severe injuries. Epictetus teaches us the importance of a rational assessment before embarking on any endeavor. By impartially looking at yourself, this exercise is not meant to diminish your self-esteem, but rather to identify both your weaknesses and strengths. This approach prevents neglecting vulnerable areas and avoids overestimating your strengths. This rational analysis is the key to balanced and successful growth in our goals. As rational beings, it is imperative that we look within ourselves and conduct a critical analysis, not with the intention of diminishing or boasting about ourselves, but rather to understand our abilities, resources, and areas of vulnerability. With this understanding, we can make decisions that align with our goals. Imagine that you have decided to participate in the upcoming race in your city, aiming to surpass your own limits in a challenging 30 kilometers event. However, there are only 2 months left until the event, and you have not yet formulated a specific training plan. Additionally, you have never ventured into races of this kind, and, lacking experience, you have not assembled a support team to guide you during the race. Despite your confident and positive attitude, there is a significant probability of giving up before completing the race or even sustaining severe injuries. Epictetus teaches us the importance of a rational assessment before embarking on any endeavor. By impartially looking at yourself, this exercise is not meant to diminish your self-esteem, but rather to identify both your weaknesses and strengths. This approach prevents neglecting vulnerable areas and avoids overestimating your strengths. This rational analysis is the key to balanced and successful growth in our goals. If you lack experience in racing, it would be wise to dedicate yourself to specific training, create an action plan, and set aside time to plan your participation. This would significantly increase your chances of achieving victory. Frequently in life, we make important decisions, such as joining a society, starting relationships, or friendships, without self-evaluating in the face of the situation. This often results in unsatisfactory outcomes and, worse still, due to complete negligence on our part. With each event, remember to look inward and ask yourself what resources you have to face it. Be honest with yourself and assess your strengths and weaknesses clearly. If, in your opinion, you are acting correctly, you have nothing to fear. Adopt a firm stance, act with total determination. Do not be cowardly and evasive. The fourth lesson in life is to behave as if you were at a banquet. If something is offered to you, reach out and take a moderate portion. Epictetus, with a simple metaphor, teaches us about moderation. Moderation, or temperance, is one of the 4 virtues of Stoicism. We have a special video detailing each of them here on the channel: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. To have temperance is to apply moderation. As for desires, it is crucial to seek harmony and healthy discipline in relation to pleasures, pains, and needs. This means not allowing our desires to enslave us or letting some of our needs become our masters. Learning to maintain a balanced distance from our desires does not imply ceasing to feel, deny, or try to eliminate emotions. Denying or pretending that feelings do not exist is detrimental to our mental health and balance. In Stoicism, we practice moderation. Consider receiving an unexpected bonus at work. Instead of spending impulsively or on luxuries, we apply temperance. We choose to save a portion for emergencies, pay off debts, plan a conscious budget, and allocate funds for financial education. Instead of impulsive spending and accumulating debts, those who practice temperance control their financial expenses by adhering to a budget and making conscious purchases. By incorporating temperance into financial life, we can better organize our finances, seek balance between expenses, and ensure that the use of money aligns with our values and long-term goals. The fifth lesson reminds us that it is impossible for a person to begin learning what they think they already know. Epictetus, among all Stoics, stands out as a genuine master. He led his own school and welcomed students, but a source of frustration for Epictetus was the attitude of some students. Despite expressing a desire to learn, many believed they already knew everything. Perhaps you know someone like that. However, all of us, to some degree, think we already know it all. We would all learn more if we let go of that attitude. No matter how intelligent or successful we may be, there will always be someone wiser, more talented, and more experienced than us. When we close ourselves off in arrogance and vanity, we miss opportunities for learning and growth without even realizing it. Think about the last movie you watched, the last book you read, or this video, and list 2 things you learned from each. This will not only reveal what you can learn from aspects of your daily life, but also train your vision to learn in every opportunity. Today, knowledge is at our fingertips, but if we maintain the attitude of knowing it all, we'll end up stranded in our own ignorance. The 6th lesson is that your life should be guided by a set of principles, clear and rational rules with which to play the game of life. Any moral rules you adopt for yourself should be respected as if they were. Principles are like important rules we should follow, and Epictetus compares disrespecting them to committing sacrilege. These principles are like a compass that guides our actions and brings order to our lives. Having clear principles helps maintain coherence in our lives, acting in accordance with our fundamental values. They are like foundations that support our personal ethics, behavior, and decision-making. Without principles and routines, our lives can become chaotic and opposed to virtue. To define your principles, it is necessary to reflect on values important to you, such as honesty, compassion, justice, and gratitude. Translate these values into practical rules to guide you in various situations. It is crucial for these principles to be clear and specific for consistent application. Disregarding these principles is a serious act that goes against your deepest values. Adopting this mindset is essential to ensure that your principles guide your life meaningfully, becoming a solid compass for your conduct. The 7th lesson teaches that it is entirely impossible to link happiness to unfulfilled desires. Happiness is present when we stop longing for things we don't have, avoiding so-called conditional happiness. This type of thinking is like walking in an endless desert, always pursuing something unattainable. It is necessary to choose between constant pursuit and finding happiness here and now. Desire and happiness, as Epictetus says, are not compatible. The 8th lesson is clear. First, tell yourself what kind of person you want to be, and then do what you need to do. It is highly unlikely for an archer to hit a target they have never aimed at, and the same applies to you. Whatever your goal or dream is, you will likely miss the mark if you don't take the time to lift, aim, and shoot. Our perceptions guide us, but it's our actions that determine whether we will reach our destination. So, spend some time asking yourself who exactly you want to be. What kind of person do you want to be? What are your personal ideals? Whom do you admire? And what special characteristics of those people do you also want to have? Think about what is important to you. What are your priorities? Work towards them and abandon all other things that don't contribute to this purpose. It's time to stop being vague and unclear. Wishing and hoping are not enough. Action is necessary, and the right action at that. If you've made it this far, share in the comments your commitment to staying strong. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to show your support with a like, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications to stay updated on future content. Now, to find out how Marco Aurelius mastered the world through Stoicism, simply click on one of the videos appearing on the screen.